Good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the May 19th regular meeting of the Louisville School Division Board of Trustees. We begin each meeting with a land acknowledgement this evening by Trustee Bjornson.
Thank you. The Louisville School Division brings together community schools of the traditional land of the Anishinaabe in Inawak and Dakota. The division is located on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We recognize that Manitoba is also the traditional land of the Inawak and Dene. We respect the treaties made on this land and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present. We dedicate ourselves to authentic alliances with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and cooperation. We recognize and honor Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, the source of Winnipeg's life-sustaining drinking water, as well as the treaty territories that generate and provide the electricity that powers daily activity throughout the province and beyond.
Thank you very much. So we'll start by extending a warm welcome to everybody that is joining us in the room this evening and who is also joining us online. Just a couple of pieces of information. We have 2 public question periods as part of our agenda. One will come up shortly, allowing for questions of clarification on decision items. And then another one is the very last item on our agenda where again you can ask for clarification on any items that were on the agenda. If you have questions, concerns, comments, usually we're around for a couple of minutes after we adjourn, but you can also send an email to info@lrsd.net, and that will guarantee that whoever is in the best position to address your concern or answer your question, that they will receive your email, and look after it. We do record our meetings, and that's to make sure that our minutes are accurate. However, unless you've received permission in advance, we ask you not take any photos and not record any of the meeting. You can always loop back to it on YouTube if there's something that you'd like to rewatch. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners who contribute to a democratic and sustainable world. And our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where collective and personal learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda for the regular board meeting this evening, 19th. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Bjornson, second. Trustee Samignola. All those in favor? Not working? Okay, so we're gonna do a hands up vote.
No.
Okay. Do you want to do this one, show of hands, and then we'll continue on and let you see if you can get it fixed? Okay, so I saw all those in favor. Any opposed?
Walker's hand is up.
And okay, thank you, Ian. And the motion is carried. Thank you. In terms of the minutes from the May 5th meeting, those have all been circulated. I wasn't made aware that there were any errors or omissions. So we will accept those as they were distributed to trustees and archive them accordingly. This is our first question period now. So if any of the folks in the room or our verified virtual members that are in attendance have a question about any of the items that are decision items today. All right, seeing none and none online. LRSD news this week, starting from the Board of Trustees with Trustee Sigurdsson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. A few things, a lot going on obviously in our division. The first one I wanted to highlight is congratulations to Brian Kornberger, who was elected to the Manitoba Basketball Hall of Fame. He's a former championship player from Dakota Lancers and a longtime coach of the women's team at Landlawn Lions. He's a fine human being, nicest people I've ever met. And we certainly congratulate him on that wonderful honor. The next is the divisional choir. Again, this is something that I've been very proud of and following the wonderful work of our divisional choir for LRSD, taking students from all different schools and putting them together to this performing choir and having them practice and perform. It's been a remarkable experience for them, and they're very, very talented. They just did their final performance recently, and again, it was a tremendous success. I got a chance to see them actually practice. I missed the performance, but I got to see them practice, and they all have tremendous voices, and it's a tremendous program for them. Linking into that is something called the Song of Hope, which took place on April 22nd. And that is, again, a similar situation, but involving our bands, where the high school bands will combine and perform for this special concert in raising funds for and raising awareness for cancer research. It's something that happened. It started a few years ago. We originally had it in the Dakota gym, and it's outgrown that, and it's now in the Desautels Auditorium at the University of Manitoba, the Desautels School of Music. Again, it's a wonderful thing, and it's tremendous to see. I didn't list it here, but I just wanted to add as well that big shout out. Seem to be leaning on Glenlawn today, but Glenlawn hockey, the women's team, they were in Division 3. And they've now moved up in the last few years into Division 1, I should say, the top division. And they actually won the first ever championship in Division 1 for the Glenlawn Lions. Tremendous accomplishment for those young ladies and for the school. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's from the senior leadership team this evening from Assistant Superintendent Anderson?
Chair, I'd like to highlight several examples of student learning, creativity, and community engagement from across the division. Beginning at Frontenac School, Frontenac partnered with L'Oreal Arts and Technology Center on a collaborative cake design project. The multi-tiered cake was designed and created by baking and pastry students Abigail Fishman and former Frontenac student Tegan Coker. The cake symbolized the school's identity, highlighting literacy, leadership, and student growth. The project is a strong example of authentic learning, student voice, and cross-program collaboration, and has inspired further student design work. I'm sorry, there's some beautiful pictures of the cake if we could get technology to cooperate for us. Next to École Henri Bergeron, who are drawing our attention to continued excellence in athletics with a second consecutive divisional badminton banner after strong student participation. And in the arts, students earned first place at the Festival Théâtre Jeunesse with their own original production. And these events reflect sustained commitment, teamwork, and French language engagement. Also at École Henri Bergeron, Red Dress Day. Students led a meaningful assembly to honor missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. The event emphasized awareness, learning, and collective responsibility alongside fundraising for Morgan's Warriors. The work highlights student leadership and commitment to Indigenous perspectives and reconciliation. At École Guillot, students in grades 4 to 8 are leading a composting initiative, building environmental awareness and sharing learning across classrooms. And the official school naming and opening occurred last week and recognized the legacy of the Honorable Murray Sinclair. The event centered student voice, with students leading and showcasing learning, reflecting a strong commitment to inclusion, community, and identity. The last school on our stop is Windsor Park Collegiate with a recent production of Hadestown demonstrating exceptional student talent and growth. Students applied learning from the New York arts experience to deliver a high quality performance widely praised by the community. Overall, these highlights reflect strong student engagement across academics, the arts, athletics, Indigenous education, and environmental stewardship. They demonstrate the impact of student voice, authentic learning opportunities, and community connections across our division.
That's great, thank you both. That is covering a lot of ground and a lot of schools, so lots of good news coming out of the entire Louis-Riel School Division over the last couple of weeks. Item number 5, presentations to the board. We have 3 this evening, starting with the BLAST program and to our superintendent to set things up for us.
I'm pleased to have Tricia Bailey and Vanessa Ross present on our first year of the before school lunch and after school time program, BLAST. It's in its infancy, but it shows a lot of promise. I'll let Tricia and Vanessa share more.
Thank you, Superintendent Mishluck, for the introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Vanessa Ross, and I am the Assistant Secretary Treasurer. We are pleased to be here this evening, and thank you for the privilege of presenting to you on the BLAST program. We're very excited to share with the trustees and members of the community how this program came to exist in Louis-Riel School Division, what we've achieved in our first year, and what our vision for the program is. With me today is Tricia Bailey-Sauvé, manager of the BLAST program, and I'd like to pass it to her to introduce a guest in attendance and to kick off our presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. And absolutely, I want to introduce Lul Hussein. Stand low, wave. Lul is one of our 7 BLAST coordinators who works tirelessly every day supporting our families and our communities before and after school. So thank you, Lul, for joining us. Because we're a close team, myself and the coordinators and the assistants.
We'll clap now.
What is the BLAST program? The acronym stands for Before School Lunch and After School Time. BLAST is a supervision program for before and after school supporting our K-6 students. It is offered by our division on a cost recovery basis, focusing on recreational activities and social connection for our students. We've included lunch in the acronym to reflect our pre-existing commitment to our families in supervising their children during the lunch hour in all of our schools. As you can see, the program includes a variety of activities. We have arts and crafts, games, reading, indoor and outdoor play, social connection, and snacks. And the teams in each building really seek the interests and what the children enjoy doing as far as providing the various activities that happen there. Yay, it worked. Why the BLAST program? Strategic Action 4.3 of our multi-year strategic plan is to implement universal full-day kindergarten and enhance access to before and after school care. To better understand the needs in our communities, we conducted a survey last spring. It highlighted the need for children to have a safe place to go before and after school. The survey collected almost 3,000 responses from our families, with over 1,200 of them indicating an unfulfilled need for programming before and after school. In LRSD, we are advocates for incorporating Indigenous perspectives and ways of knowing, being, and doing, as am I. One of those overarching perspectives emphasizes the need for our systems to prioritize collective well-being. This means that our success is measured by the well-being of our community. The survey results made it extremely clear to us that our community needed greater access to before and after school programming, so we created BLAST to support them. It's important to note that BLAST is different from licensed childcare. Licensed childcare services, which are curriculum-based, operate under the Department of Education and, operate under the Department of Education and Early Childhood Learning. They must adhere to a specific set of guidelines and regulations, and licensed childcare is staffed by early childhood educators. We want to clarify that BLAST is a supervision program for school-aged children, not a childcare service. The BLAST program aims to support families in accessing supervision before and after school and complements the childcare services available in LRSD communities. BLAST is a supervision program similar to what we've offered for many years over the lunch hour. It is staffed by individuals with experience working with children, students pursuing a career in education or early childhood learning, high school students, parents, caregivers, newcomers, and more. Licensed childcare is funded in part through subsidies provided by the Department of Education and Early Childhood Learning. These subsidies make it possible for reduced parent fees, $10 a day. BLAST, on the other hand, is sustained through parent fees. Since we are not a licensed childcare service, the program is not eligible for subsidies. For this reason, parents pay a little more, $15 per day, but this allows the program to be cost neutral. BLAST was started on a case-by-case basis when there was a strong demand from the community or a change in what was available from licensed childcare facilities. Schools individually created programs that relied heavily on school administrators and clerical staff to organize and maintain. In 2024-25, 4 schools were operating before and after programs: Niagara Place School, École Van Bellingham, Sage Creek School, and Archwood School. I'll pass it back to Vanessa to discuss a bit about where we are at now.
Tricia. So this past August, we were extremely fortunate to have Tricia transition into her current role as the manager of BLAST. And she initially focused on centralizing staffing supports for the 4 existing programs. Additionally, she worked to open a 5th location in September 2025 at our new school, École Mazina Gizik. We then turned our focus to building a strong foundation to support BLAST division-wide. In consultation with administrators who were previously supporting the individual programs in their buildings, we developed a divisional parent-guardian handbook and staff handbook. We also established program training and standards. We moved the responsibility for collecting and managing applications, tracking enrollment, processing fees, and preparing student attendance and URIS information from the schools to the board office. We also began centralizing food and supply orders. We worked collaboratively with school administrators and our facilities department to ensure controlled access measures were put in place, improving safety for students and staff. In collaboration with our information systems and data teams, we developed an online application through PowerSchool, along with a Power BI tracking dashboard. These steps set the foundation for opening 2 additional BLAST programs at Marion School and École Saint-Germain on April 6th. It also allowed us to open the waitlist division-wide on April 21st, and that waitlist had 179 applications within the first day. Rolling out a division-wide program also comes with its challenges. Demand for program varies from community to community. This means where demand is low, programs can be difficult to sustain, and where demand is high, waitlists can be long. Our schools are spread out with few schools within walking distance of one another. This means we typically can't join programs in low demand areas, and most schools will require a BLAST program in their building, which leads to higher startup costs. In in-demand areas, we can be faced with physical space constraints within the school. We aim to operate BLAST in non-teaching spaces wherever possible. Sharing a classroom with BLAST comes with many challenges. Teachers need dedicated space for prep time. It can be hard for students to differentiate between classroom supplies and BLAST supplies, and so on. Because of these challenges, expansion into classroom spaces is still being evaluated and strategically planned in partnership with school leaders and teachers. Our staff continue to build skill set to support students with complex needs. To date, staff have participated in several hands-on training sessions to build their skill set in this area. BLAST staff have worked collaboratively with families, school administrators, and the teams that work with students throughout the day to develop a plan that supports the students' individual success in BLAST. We continue to build capacity, collaborate with partners, and seek external financial support for one-to-one staffing, but we still face challenges. Finally, staffing the program is unique because of the hours of operation. BLAST staff work from 7 a.m. until the first bell, and then return to the school at the final bell and are there until 5:30. Because of the split shift, we sometimes find that staff prefer to work either the mornings or the afternoons, which means that we need to recruit, hire, and train more staff to cover both portions of the day. So we're going to talk a little bit about where we're at now. Today, BLAST is in 7 buildings and serves 8 schools, with our Marion site providing programming for both Marion School and École Provencher. Last week, we were extremely excited to share with community members that an 8th location has been confirmed for this coming fall at École Marianne Gabory. Our programs are each led by a coordinator and are supported by 37 assistants to date. We also have approximately 20 guest assistants who are available to provide support when staff are away. We strive to maintain a ratio of approximately 1 staff person for every 8 children. Today, we have 202 students participating in the program. Several of these students have diverse and complex needs that our staff work hard to support. The divisional waitlist has just over 250 students requesting programming, of which a little over 80 of them are students entering kindergarten this fall. So let's talk about where we see this program heading. Meeting the need for supervision before and after school on a division-wide basis is a big task that's going to take several years and thoughtful strategy. To get there, we are working closely with many partners. Yes Manitoba is one of those partners. They're a nonprofit employment service for people between the ages of 16 and 29. Yes Manitoba assesses a client's application skills, offers employability workshops, training, and education, and then matches them with suitable organizations. We also work with Mosaic, the Newcomer Family Resource Network, who offers their clients training in early childhood education. This collaboration helps streamline staff recruitment and hiring processes. As we approach the 2026-2027 school year, we are looking to support 3 additional communities by September and 3 more in January. To do this, we are working closely with childcare providers already established in our buildings to expand services to meet the need we've identified through our divisional waitlist. Where childcare providers are not able to expand, the division is assessing the viability of opening new BLAST programs. Through a combination of expanded childcare services in our buildings and new BLAST programs, we aim to support half of LRSD communities with supervision before and after school by January 2027. We continue to engage in conversation with third-party funders and the Department of Education and Early Childhood Learning to explore opportunities to better support students with exceptional needs and to reduce any financial barriers to accessing the BLAST program. We continue to advocate for this important support. Let's turn our attention now to the budget. BLAST was envisioned to operate on a cost recovery basis, meaning the fees we collect from families go directly towards supporting the program with a goal of breaking even for the year. Right now, families participating in the BLAST program pay $15 per child per day. Our goal as we expand divisionally is to find efficiencies that allow us to reduce parent fees, accommodate families that may require financial assistance, and hire staff to support students who may require one-to-one support. The BLAST program is a person-centered program that thrives on social connection. This is why we focus the majority of our budget, 92.6%, on staffing, with just a little over 7% going towards supplies. Supplies for the BLAST program includes toys, games, craft supplies, and a daily snack. We are fortunate that BLAST can also take advantage of school gym equipment and playgrounds with minimal added cost. For the current school year, the program is on track to break even. Tricia, I will pass it back to you to share a bit about what people are saying about the program.
All right. In January of this year, we conducted a survey of parents, staff, and school leaders to gather their feedback on how they thought the BLAST program was going. This survey told us that the program is strongly valued across participating schools. The strongest program-wide assets are the staff, the program structure, and the sense of safety and community support. Families also asked for more snack variety, something we addressed this spring. They also asked for BLAST to consider structuring programming around age groups, which is something we're exploring for the school year. I've posted a few of the quotes from that survey up there for you to read, but some quotes that I want to share just with you verbally that I hear time and time again when I speak with parents, when I send an email and offer a spot, when I call and offer a spot. I sometimes have parents in tears and they're saying to me, Tricia, you've changed our lives. Tricia, we've won the lottery. Tricia, we can't thank you enough. And I gotta tell you, that's one of the joys of this role, doing that, being able to offer that to parents and know that their lives are changed. Because we all know if you've had children, knowing that they're safely where they need to be for the day is what keeps us, contributes to our well-being. So what does BLAST really look like? So here are a few pictures. These are pictures of myself and our coordinators who again, couldn't do it without them. They are on site every morning, every afternoon with the staff, supporting the children and working with the families. So thank you to all of them. The next few slides are of children actually in the program, enjoying some of the different activities that we offer, such as indoor sports, reading, arts, crafts, outdoor play. And here again, open gym, board games, and crafts. I'd like to wrap up today's presentation by noting that BLAST is not a one-person show. BLAST is truly a division-wide effort with every department you see here having a hand in contributing to its success. And SLT should be here too. And all of you should be here too. Vanessa and I could have kept adding to this slide. Colleagues from every department have shared their skills and gifts and their openness to collaborate, which has been the key to our ability to thrive this year. We truly wouldn't be here today with the support of all this staff. We want to thank them for sharing in our vision of supporting the well-being of our families by making BLAST a division-wide. With that, we'd like to thank you for your time and this opportunity to share the work we've been focusing on this year. And we welcome any questions.
Thank you very much. Trustees, what questions do you have? Trustee Bjornson?
Thank you for the presentation. As you mentioned in the presentation, early childhood education centers have a provincial curriculum. Is there some collaboration between the different sites to develop specific learning opportunities for the students? Or are they all site specific for the activities that they create and participate in?
Address that for sure. So as I mentioned, you know, each coordinator and each site and the assistants that are there, they work really hard to get to know the children and what their interests are, what they like to do. So when it comes to purchasing any kind of materials for arts and crafts or games or activities, is based on what the children have shared they like to do. So I know they like, for example, Lowell at Archwood, she has children love to play in the kitchen and cook with pretend food and make meals for each other. And there's a puppet theater in the library, so they love playing puppets. Whereas in another location, they love to play Uno and they love to play chess and they love to go into the mini gym and play basketball. So they really, just invite children to do activities that they enjoy to do. And there's a freedom to that, right? Because it's about keeping them safe. It's about having some fun and doing it.
I just have a question in regards to the students on the wait list. How do we reduce, as we know, childcare is short in this area of the city. How do we continue to reduce that waste so that way there's less students? Is it a matter of amount of space in the schools currently available, or is it staff, or what is the barrier there?
I'll take that one. Thank you, trustee Kolchak. So the strategy to address the wait list is definitely underway. The wait list only just opened divisionally, so we're just starting to get a sense of where demand is greatest in our division. So when we started this, we wanted to be sure that we were setting a really strong foundation so that when we were ready to roll out on a bigger or faster pace, we would be ready to do so. So although it doesn't seem as though we have a lot of programs right now, we've just recently accomplished that really strong foundation, and we envision that we're going to be able to start addressing that wait list more quickly now. So the 250 that we have on the wait list, initially that's going to be addressed with opening 3 sites in September. On top of that, we are in conversations with childcare providers that operate in our buildings around that wait list and what expansion in our schools may look like for them. We have several providers that operate in our school buildings, and so we would like to continue to engage in dialogue with them to see about their willingness to expand their offerings if we're able to provide them with space in the schools. And one of the things that's going to be a challenge, as you alluded to, is the space. But it's a shift in our mindset and the culture that we embrace these students before and after the school day, the same way we do throughout the school day. If we can fit them all there for K-12 education from 9 to 3, we can fit them all there before the bell and after. It's just working with folks to understand what their needs are, to hear their concerns, and to build the program strategically so that it can fit into teaching spaces without disrupting teachers.
Trustee Semignola?
Yeah, so thank you, Vanessa and Tricia for the presentation and for all the work that you're doing in this. I want to start off by saying, you know, I've had families at a hockey rink, at a soccer field that express how grateful they are for this program. Especially there's a couple of families that are in Sage Creek that they found a spot at the English school, but their kid actually goes to Sage Creek, making that to a Komazina now. Like making that flexibility was really important to them as a family, and they expressed this with so much joy. So thank you for that. I guess my question is, would you be able to share, when you look at that 250, where is the percentage that you are seeing that wait list demand fall under? Are we seeing it more towards south of Abinoch-Mekana? Is it more Sage Creek, Island Lakes? Do we have those numbers at all?
Yeah, we have an idea of which communities are seeing a high demand. We don't have the specifics to share with you today, but we could bring that back to you at another time. We are seeing demand in some of the newer communities that have fewer childcare options established. So that is an area that we are focusing some attention, but wherever we are seeing the highest demand in our communities is generally where we are focusing our attention first. To start a program, it's ideal for us to have at least 32 students. So where we're seeing a demand of 32 or higher is somewhere that is a viable place to start. So that's where we're focusing our attention for now.
Thank you.
Trustees, any other questions? Nothing from me. Thanks to the two of you for joining us this evening. We appreciate the ability to gain a better understanding of what this program looks like in its inaugural year. So congratulations on great success, and we look forward to even more of it, and appreciate the time, the work that you and your coordinators are putting into it. I know families appreciate it, and so you're meeting a very important need. So thanks very much. Next presentation is Propel. Who's setting us up for that? That's you? Okay.
Thank you,
Want to
Chair.
read this?
I'm here today with Kim Gagnon, principal at Nelson Mac. and Ben Albrecht, teacher at Collège Jean Sauvé, with Jane and Leah, who are students in the Propel program. The Propel program creates an interdisciplinary project-based learning environment for students. It was originally developed by a design team led by our very own Patrick Hansen, Nelson Mack, and co-founder Matt Patrician launched the program in 2015 at Nelson McIntyre Collegiate. And in 2024-25, Collège Bellevaux and Collège Jean Sauvé introduced the Propel program. The award-winning program offers students the opportunity to celebrate their passion in flexible learning environments. Students partner with mentors in the community while receiving instruction in their home school and engage in real-world learning through self-directed projects that span a wide range of interests, from robotics and music production to architecture and entrepreneurship. In fact, one CJS student tried and started a juice company as a result of their time in the program. The program allows students to earn multiple credits while pursuing individualized areas of interest, emphasizing process over product, and encouraging students to explore, iterate, and reflect. So I'd like to start by asking Kim to come up and get us started.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Catholic. So I'm here to introduce our student who's going to speak about her experience with Propel at Nelson McIntyre. But I did want to say a few things that may be somewhat repetitive to what Corey said, but hopefully they will also add to the discussion. At Nelson McIntyre Collegiate, Propel offers students a unique, future-focused learning experience grounded in inquiry, innovation, and student voice. Rather than following a traditional program model, Propel emphasizes flexible, personalized learning environments where students explore their passions through project-based work and real-world applications. Through inquiry-based learning, students ask meaningful questions, pursue deeper understanding, and take ownership of their learning journey. Propel supports the development of the global competencies such as critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration, skills that are essential for both post-secondary pathways and life beyond school. This approach reflects big picture learning, and it helps students connect what they are learning to who they are and who they want to become. By centering their passion and purpose, Propel creates space for students to engage deeply, build confidence, and discover new possibilities for their future. Today, we are very fortunate to hear from Taya Conley, a grade 11 student at Nelson McIntyre Collegiate, who will share her experience in Propel and speak to the impact this kind of learning can have on students. So, Taya.
Thank you, everyone. I do have my final Propel project that I will pass around if you guys want to look at while I'm talking. So like you've heard several times, my name is Taya Conley. Hello, everyone. I am a grade 11 student at Nelson McIntyre Collegiate, and I was in the Propel program this past semester. I want to take a moment to thank you all very much for allowing me to be here and for inviting me to share and to talk about something I feel very passionate about, which is the Propel program at my school, Nelson McIntyre. Before I get into it, I kind of want to give a brief explanation of what Propel is and why it's important. The Propel program runs for 1 semester and is offered at Nelson McIntyre Collegiate for grade 11 students. It is an interdisciplinary project-based learning program where each student pursues an individualized project where they get to explore a passion that they are interested in. Now I'm going to go into a bit of what the structure daily looks like. In Propel, it does change because it is project-based learning and individualized a little bit, but a rough overdraft of what a day could look like. In Propel, students are in one classroom with one teacher all day with, at my school, it is about 7 to 13 students. I was in a class of 7 this past semester. Students start the day off as a group, being taught a common lesson or being given an assignment. Examples of these lessons are time management, project planning, scheduling, and communication techniques, both in person and online. The rest of the day, students work independently on their own projects with the support of their Propel teacher and classmates. The teacher gives technical support and advice and guides students rather than direct them. Classmates share their individual talents and skills to support each other's project, provide feedback during interview or reflection periods, and act as a general support system, because when you're in Propel, you are doing something you're really passionate about, and sometimes that can be really tricky too. So it's great to have that system of other people who are passionate like yourself. And then lastly, the other great part about Propel is that you still get 4 credits in order to graduate. Those 4 credits you would get if you weren't in Propel, and those credits are determined in part with your specific project, which is also really interesting. What I think is really, really important to see in Propel and to get a general idea is to see and hear about what projects have been done in the past. So I would like to take a moment to highlight some of the projects that were in this past semester by my fellow classmates. There were students working on an architectural magazine, a crochet business, which is still going on, music production, animation, and a book of poetry. In past years, to give even a vaster idea of what is included in Propel, is that there was a fashion designer, jewelry designers, playwriters, lots of photography, and even a tattoo business, and along with many others. So you can see that it's really personalized, which is really cool. Now I kind of want to go into a bit of my own project to give you a greater sense of what really Propel can give one person in their own individualized studies. But to start off, I want to also highlight that not all kids go into Propel, knowing what they are going to do. They know that they are passionate and they want to explore the curriculum and all that it brings. And I want to highlight that I was one of those students. I had an idea when I applied, and I then realized when I got there that it wasn't something I could do for a whole semester and that it was a great option for myself. So I had to go back to the drawing board and rethink what I was going to do, which Propel was an excellent program and place to do that and to figure myself out and where my interests lie, which I discovered is creating a book and self-publishing a book on dyslexia, which is a very personal topic for me because I have dyslexia and dyscalculia, but I decided to focus on specifically dyslexia. To give you guys a better understanding of my project, and the quickest way to explain it is I would like to read my book forward. It is not overly long and explains the process I used to create my book. In Our Own Words is a book that everyone is welcome to read. In Our Own Words contains a collection of stories from 10 individuals who are dyslexic. Each story is unique and provides different perspectives, ranging from hardships, positive experiences, important moments, and they offer advice. To obtain the personal stories, I conducted online interviews with dyslexic individuals from Winnipeg and just outside the city. I recorded each interview conversation, then turned each conversation into a transcription. I used the transcriptions during the writing process of the stories to make sure that each story reflected what each dyslexic individual had to say. I know how it feels and what it is like to have dyslexia and the isolation that can come with it. I wanted to create a book as a way to build a community for individuals with dyslexia to come together and read each other's stories to know they are not alone in this world. I encourage people who aren't dyslexic to read In Our Own Words to grow their understanding of the learning difference and to show your support towards dyslexia. And who knows, you might learn something cool along the way. In Our Own Words also contains a multitude of facts about dyslexia. I want to help prevent the spread of misconceptions about it. So by incorporating facts into the book, I hope to educate others about the learning difference. I want to empower dyslexics to embrace their neurodiversity. I hope this book gives everyone the knowledge that dyslexics are capable, they might just do things differently. I hope you enjoy reading in your own words and remember to always use your own words and to listen to others. Taya Conley. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of what I did with my time and some of the processes I used to create this book that I am very deeply proud of. To go a little further though, so you know a little bit more about what I did during my time, the creation of my book required that I learn several new computer programs, how to manage and project my time, when to ask for and how to incorporate feedback and comments into my book, how to publish my book through Amazon KDP, how to create and display marketing materials, which you are currently carrying around. Sorry, I didn't realize it was gonna be circular room, so no one could really see it then. And even basic life skills like emailing, communication, and scheduling. Once my book was published, I then took it on a book tour where I visited 8 LRSD middle schools from grades 5 to 8 and presented 12 different times over the course of 4 days. So it was a busy time for me. And I want to highlight that because Propel gave me the opportunity to spend my entire day going to schools to talk about something I was passionate about, to spread awareness, which was my main goal of my project. I have also sold 139 copies of my book to date and will be selling them at Pine Ridge Hollow because I have just made a book deal. The profit I have made selling my books, I use to purchase more copies of Our Own Words to donate to other middle schools to spread the word, because I don't want money to be a barrier for young readers or dyslexic students. My goal is to spread awareness and facts about dyslexia and to prevent the misconception, and that is what this book is currently doing, and Propel has allowed me to be able to do that. Once again, thank you for allowing me to come and present to you. If anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer them later during. Thank you.
Okay. Have any questions? Yeah.
I have in this presentation. My son also had a term at Propel and pursued his passion, and I know the value of the program. With the work that you've done, have you ever connected with Dr. Baldine Bjornsson?
I don't know who that is, so
Well,
sorry.
same last name. She might be distantly related, but I'm not sure she'd admit it. But she is one of the experts in dyslexia research here in Manitoba, and I'd be happy to connect you with her. I'm sure she'd love to meet you in this project. Perhaps you can ask your parents to email me, and I can virtually through email. She'd be thrilled, I'm sure, to see this incredible work that you've done.
I'd be very grateful for that opportunity. Thank you.
Good job.
Trustees, other questions? Thank you, Taya. You are a very poised, very articulate, very engaging young person, and you are a credit to the Propel program and to Nelson McIntyre and to Louis Riel School Division. So props to you. Good luck with whatever comes next. And I'd be very curious to see where you are 10 years from now. We wish you all the best. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
Have you found it difficult going back to a regular school day?
It was quite the transition, and I noticed myself sometimes not doing what I was supposed to be doing because I still was in the habit of doing what I wanted to do and leading my learning. I think I've adjusted now. There are some benefits. None of my close friends were in Propel, which was a bit of a hard thing I found. So it's nice to be around them currently, but I would for sure, if I could do Propel all year, I would. So yes, it was a big transition.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Ben Albert is going to introduce the next very special guest presenter.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here and taking some time to hear a little bit about the Propel program. The young person who I have asked to come and speak with you this evening is Jane Rachon. Jane participated in the Propel program last year when she was in grade 11. And then I received an email from Jane in August saying, is it possible for me to take the Propel program again in grade 12? So looked into that with our principal, found out that it was fine. And so I'm very happy to have had Jane in the Propel program for 2 years. So she has perhaps a different perspective than most students who typically are only in the program for 1 semester, because she is nearing completion of her 2nd semester in the Propel program. So without further ado, I'd like to present Jane Rachon to come and speak about her experience.
Hello, my name is Jane, and I am in grade 12 and a student in Propel at Collège Jean Sauvé. It is currently my 2nd year in the program in order to pursue creative writing. I was originally attracted to Propel during a class presentation from my teacher, Mr. Albrecht, and it instantly clicked with me that this was something I wanted to do. I already had many creative hobbies at that point, including textile arts, creative writing, and drawing, and so the thought of getting to do that full time was very exciting for me. I really wanted to be in Propel because it would give me a space to create something that I could be proud of. In my first year of Propel, I had hoped to write and publish a book fully, and I did not know what this would require of me. It took much longer than I expected, and it was quite a lot of work. I finished the program with a first draft of 45,000 words, and I was very proud of that, but it was not as much as I had hoped to accomplish during that time. In spite of this, I did not originally plan on coming back to Propel for a 2nd year. But during the summer, I continued to work on my novel, and I kept thinking that I could do so much more with the time and resources of Propel if I could do it again with all of the knowledge and skills that I had acquired during the first year. By then, I knew what challenges I would face in the program and the time constraints that I had, but I also knew that it was so beneficial and that I wanted to do that again. So I decided to. Propel has required more skills of me than any other class. It's built into the framework of the program. The biggest one that I've found is learning independence. You are the manager of your own project in Propel, and you have to be in control of all aspects. Unlike other classes, the teacher there is not pushing you to finish your work on time or checking in with you to make sure that you are meeting all your goals. Although they're always there to support you, it's not like they're forcing you to finish your work. Because of this, you have to learn to set your own deadlines and to meet your own goals, and you have to be completely in control of what you're doing. The motivation is also different at Propel. Because it's something that you really want to do and you want to do it well, you are more motivated to use your time and resources well, because if you don't do it, then you're the only one who loses out. Although there are many implicit skills built into the program, one of the biggest explicit skills that I've learned has been networking. As a requirement of the program, you must learn to draft a professional email and to send it to somebody in the field of your project. Before Propel, I was terrified to send professional emails. I didn't know how to do it, and I did not want to learn, and I've seen the pattern in many of my peers. Through the program, I have become confident in sending emails, and I've learned how to find and coordinate with people in any given field and to communicate well with them. This has opened up many possibilities for me in the writing world, and I found many connections that I will be able to use for years to come. All these skills have helped me feel confident going into university next year, and I never would have gotten them in a typical class. Propel is so important, and one of the biggest ways that I found this is that I'm going into university next year to get a bachelor's degree in English because of the passion that I found in Propel. I love creative writing, and I have confirmed that I want to do it for the rest of my life, whether it's writing books or doing something in the publishing world, becoming an editor. I'm not sure, but it is a passion that I am sure I love. I also love Propel because it gives students autonomy and it trusts them with it. They are in control of what's going on, and it better sets them up for life than any other class I've found. As I am in a French immersion school, Propel has also changed my abilities in French. In the program, French is expected and enforced, and although this should be the status quo in every other class, there simply isn't time to set aside time every single day for speaking in French. But one of the pillars of Propel is that it promotes collaboration and intentional conversation. Because of this, I have become confident in my ability to speak French, and it has allowed me to seek out opportunities in employment and volunteer and otherwise in French. I can use this in the future in so many ways. In conclusion, Propel has not only helped me find my passion in creative writing and develop hard skills that I will take into university and the workforce, but also has developed me as a person in ways that will extend into my life going forward. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my perspective on the Propel program.
Trustees, questions for Jane this evening? Trustee Bjornson?
You mentioned you made a lot of connections, so did you have a mentor writer from Winnipeg, or who were the connections that you were able to make?
One of the connections was I was able to connect with an author in Winnipeg who had children that were that went to CJS, and yes, I was able to connect with her and talk about the writing process and understand better the world of publishing and writing.
Very good.
Any other questions, Cindy? Trustee Turner, sorry.
Quick one. Is your novel in French?
It's in English.
Then I'll be able to read it.
Trustee Sigurdsson?
What's the status of your novel right now?
I have a draft that is 75,000 words. It's actually a different novel than the one I wrote last year. And I am preparing to print it out for the Propel presentations in June.
Oh, wonderful. So you had a different novel last year, but you started a different one for this time?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. I'm told, I wish I was a writer, I'm told that's how you do it. Excellent. But just on a point that you've raised, I think it's fascinating that you find Propel valuable because of the individual discipline that you impose on yourself, rather than having the discipline imposed on you from the staff or from the teachers. Is that something that you feel, that you believe?
Yes, absolutely. I would say almost all of the motivation in Propel is intrinsic, and it really comes from both, that you're given the independence where it's like theoretically the students in it could spend their time really badly and not do it, and they would be fully responsible for that, but you love it so much and you love what you're doing, so you want to work really hard on it and spend your.
Wonderful, thank you.
Jane, Trustee Seminyola, go ahead.
Yeah, just one, again, thanks for your presentation and giving us your perspective on the program. When we sit around here supporting the program, it's always great to hear like your stories of what the program does, and just reaffirming why it's so important to the division, or it's so important to this group. I guess my question, you said you did it in grade 11, you asked again, come back in grade 12. Can you share maybe something that sticks out to you as what you have learned or picked up now in your second time versus the first time around when you're in grade 11?
Yes, I would say the first time, one of the biggest things was that I didn't really understand how to set goals well or how to use my time effectively, and it showed. I was only able to write 45,000 words in my first draft that last year, and I didn't really set goals, and I was just kind of figuring it out as I went, which wasn't a bad way to do it. But in my second year, I was able to set writing goals. So I had a plan where it was like, by the end of the month, I would have this many words in my draft, and then by the next month, I would have this many words, and I was able to meet all of those goals.
Yeah, that's excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for joining us. I appreciate how you've linked some of your initial reservations, if I can frame it that way, with a bit of overcoming on your part. So your confidence is really coming through, and we wish you all the best. Again, would be very interested in seeing where you are 10 years from now. What university are you headed to in the fall?
CMU.
CMU, all right. Good luck in your studies and all your pursuits. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ben. Right, our third presentation is workplace well-being. Through the superintendent to Superintendent Gunther to set this one up for us.
Sure. I'd like to introduce Rosa Gray and Shauna Strike, who's been working alongside LRSD this year to support our intentional efforts to enhance employee well-being, particularly as it relates to being well at work. Rosa Gray has been working with us this year on contract as a consultant and well-being advisor. Previously supported the Guarding Mind survey data collection in LRSD a couple years ago. And Shauna Strike is a case manager with Mental Disabilities Benefits Plan. And together they've been working with a number of different employee groups across the division alongside senior leadership team to support and strengthen our well-being approach. And I'll let the two of you take it away.
Okay, thank you for that.
No problem.
Awesome. So hi, I'm Shauna Strike, and as he introduced me, I'm a case manager with the Disability Benefits Plan. And so we are in charge of the short-term and long-term disability, for those who don't know, for the teachers of Manitoba, as well as approximately 3,000 EAs across the province. And we are a unique insurance company in that we are funded by teachers, governed by teachers. And so we're more of a service. And so we do a lot of preventive work. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years, is working with divisions and their leadership around psychological safety and developing well-being, cultures of well-being.
And I'm Rosa Gray. I was a school superintendent in Manitoba for 20 some years. And I left that role so that I could pursue research in system approaches to well-being. I'm currently at the university, and my research interest is around how structures and leadership influence staff efficacy and commitment in work. And so there's natural connections to what we're presenting about here today. I'll just start with the Guarding Mind survey, which is here. The last time I was here was about March of last year when I presented the Guarding Mind survey to you. What we saw then is that the division has quite a number of strengths from which to build. What I shared with you then, and I'll remind you now, is that among the strengths of the school division are the relationships in the organization, the pride that staff have in the school division and in its leadership. Work around EDI is a strength that people have noted, and staff engagement is quite high. What we also noted is that there are opportunities for growth. Some of the opportunities for growth include building cultures of well-being, taking some intentional systemic approaches, and to address some specific areas of concern. When we think through what well-being means, there's sometimes we think about workplace well-being in terms of addressing challenges, but what our work is broader than that. It also includes developing something that's positive and is bigger than just kind of looking at issues. So our work in workplace well-being is moving past wellness and individual responsibility, the idea that we put this on staff to look after their own self-care, and to move it into the responsibilities of the organization to make sure that the system factors that impact well-being are addressed. Oh, that's me too. Part of what we mean by system approaches is to think through what does it mean to build leadership capacity for well-being, and we'll talk a little bit about the work that we've done with school leaders related to building capacity. Part of that is also understanding system factors, and system factors include things like whether or not the workload is manageable, because you can tell people that need to look after themselves, but if the workload itself is something that is not conducive, then all the meditating in the world is not going to help you. There's also some thinking around psychological safety, supportive leadership, having the resources to do your job, and opportunities for learning. So that balance of system pieces and leadership pieces, and an emphasis around engagement and collaborative planning.
So we've worked in a few areas this year. First one was with school leaders and the Leading for Wellbeing project that we did. We also did some work with the school and classroom support team. This was a group that was identified in the Guarding Minds data as a group that was at risk. And so we wanted to understand that a little more and dig into that with them. And so we spent some time doing focus groups with them. We did that collaboratively with our senior leadership team so that we could continually kind of talk about where we were at and what kind of actions we wanted to take. And then we also did some work with the workplace safety and health team, the committee. There is some new legislation that rolled out June 3rd of last year. And so we wanted to start discussions about that. And then of course, we always work with Jay, keep Jay up to speed with what's going on. So let's start with the work we did with the school leaders. And this was really focusing on supporting school leaders in how they support psychological safety in staff. And that was all staff. And that was intentional because we know that if we have healthy staff, that trickles down to the students. And so in September, we asked for schools to volunteer, and we had 17 schools come forward. We started with 2 learning sessions, one in October, one in November. The one in October was generally about what is psychological safety, what is well-being, the difference between wellness and well-being, those kind of things. And then the second session in November was really about the how-to. How do we actually do this? And so that led us into the work that we did at the school level. We met with each leadership team anywhere from 2 to 4 times. And that's when we dove into the school Guarding Minds data, got their perspective on what they thought was going on with their staff. Sometimes we got an opportunity to staff, and that was really interesting. And then we brought all that together and we started talking about, you know, what do we want to do with that? And how do we want to incorporate that into school plan? Because this type of work cannot be an initiative. It has to be really woven into everything that's done in the school. So after that, we went to our 3rd learning session, which was actually last Tuesday, where we brought everybody together and we had them do 5 to 10 minute presentations on what they learned, what the challenges were, what they want to do moving forward. And that was a really interesting discussion because you could see they moved from really knowing very little about this topic to now talking with each other, collaborating, deciding, you know, how could they share this with their colleagues? And that was really interesting to see that come. And so I have to say that you have a really amazing group of leaders in the school division. This is really, really hard work. It takes courage and vulnerability. It takes patience, and they really did the work. And so we really want to commend them for working with us this year.
And the other big project that we undertook this year is working with the school and classroom support team. What our intention with that group was to get to a place where we could develop well-being action plans for this group. This is the group that was most highlighted in the Guarding Minds data as needing some additional care and support. And so we undertook to understand what system factors are impacting their well-being and with focus groups. We looked at patterns of interaction, organizational structures, and the relationships, and we asked them a number of questions. When we brought them together, one thing that sometimes people wonder, if you bring folks together, how's that meeting going to go? And what I would like to share is just how absolutely dedicated staff are and careful they were to be thoughtful in the way that they shared their experiences, being intentional around trying to take other perspectives and acknowledging how challenging it is for the school division while they shared the difficulties in their own experience. So that was something worth noting. We took the findings from the school and classroom support teams. We met with groups individually, and then when we put the findings together, Shauna and I learned that there were a number of things that were kind of common across all of the different discipline groups that we called universal themes. And then there are some themes that were particular to our clinical team, and then there are some things that were just specific to individual groups. And so we organized our reports to the division in terms of, here are things that are universal, here's what clinical, and here is what are discipline specific. And then the work became, what does it mean to develop a plan from what we've heard? And so the last number of meetings we've had has been really specific to move towards a co-developed plan where staff has input, the division has an understanding of what's possible and how it needs to be timed and phased out. And so that's the phase that we're in now.
So some of the other work we did, we met with workplace safety and health. And we talked to them again about kind of this emerging thing for them, which is what is psychological safety, isn't, and how is this legislation that's coming out going to affect? How's it going to show up in schools? And to be honest, there's not a lot. We're still waiting for some regulation being handed down by the government. We really don't have any great risk assessments that we're currently working with. So there's lots to kind of wait for on that. But we wanted to start early discussions about what that might look like and give them some food for thought for future. And then we kept Jay up to speed with the wellbeing initiatives, and that's a really important relationship for us because he talks to members as well. And so if there's anything that we were missing with the programs that we had, then Jay would bring that to our attention. So that was a really important collaboration for us.
So what we're learning. We have identified a few foundational principles for the work in workplace wellbeing, among them acknowledgement. Folks really have an understanding that this work is messy and it's complex and it's long-term. And so that's something that they appreciate that the division has engaged in. The idea around co-engagement, that planning together and planning for a group's well-being, planning with them about their well-being, some transparency around what can be done and what can't be done, and if it can't be done, then why, and then an emphasis on kind of long-term systemic approaches. In our conversations with school leaders, we found the guarding minds factors, guarding minds have 13 different factors. That's kind of a lot to wrap your heads around at once. And so we began to talk to principals around thinking about well-being with 3 ideas. And these resonate with school leaders because these 3 ideas actually are also in the ways we talk about student well-being. And so it's lovely when the way we talk about well-being for staff aligns with the way we talk about students. So those ideas are around relatedness and what ways to create a sense of belonging and care for one another. Competency as being an investment in well-being. When you help people be good at what it is that matters to them, then that is an investment in their well-being, and provide them with autonomy and support. And I can't help but think about how when the young people were here today talking about what mattered most to them about the programs that you offer, it's those things. It gave me an opportunity to have autonomy. I feel competent in what I do. I have other folks that are in it with me, that relatedness. And so these 3 ideas are ones that resonate. When talking to principals about their lessons learned on the May 12th day when we brought them together, there was really a bit of myth busting too around what is workplace well-being. Workplace well-being isn't really about just making the work easier. It's not about making everyone happy all of the time. It's really an investment in creating the conditions where everyone can sustain high performance. It's like, how do you create a high performing team? What's the connection to having a belief that the team is capable, that kind of collective efficacy? Another one is that it's not really about just it's not just about a social committee. It's about the ways in which we have, like connection matters, but it must be embedded in the collective work that with shared purpose in order to really be an investment in our well-being. And leaders understood those pieces to be around their leadership. It wasn't something that is kind of a new or an add-on, but more about the way that they engage in their work and not necessarily just being thoughtful about those pieces. And then the last part that we talked about is like the culture takes time to change. Culture change is usually a 3 to 5 year process if you're really invested. And so knowing that this work is kind of ongoing work.
There were 3 main priorities that came out of the work with the focus groups with the SCST group. First being the building community in a sense of belonging, addressing psychological safety and that systemically, and Rosa had touched on that this used to be something that we put on the individual. You need to meditate more, you need to do more yoga. But we also know that, which can be sometimes doesn't feel great for you, right? And so we know now that psychological safety is affected by a number of things. And in this environment, it can be affected by what's happening at school. It can be affected by what's happening at the division level. It could be happening what's happening at the government level. So there's many different aspects to psychological safety that we wanna take in as we're doing this work. And then of course aligning workload and prioritization. But it was really important to the senior leadership team when we met with them that we had a 30, 60, 90-day process. And for Christian, he said he really wanted us to have some short-term goals by the time June came along. And so that's really what the focus of our work has been. We're actually meeting with the group tomorrow to talk about, we've narrowed down, we've got some real actionable items that we're hoping that we'll be able to get to by the end of June. And of course, we have long-term ones too that are going to take more planning and more thought. But this process has been really successful in identifying some things and some things that we can do right away for them.
Oh, that's me too. So the early, I thought you had already started to speak to this, so I gave it to you. So the early indicators of impact is that schools are hopeful to continue in their conversations around workplace being. Some of the schools have actually made a suggestion that if new schools come on board next year, perhaps they could be paired so that there's some like learning from one another. The well-being plans, principals are looking to integrate in their school planning. So on May 26th planning day, when they have their teams together, they want to think about, we know we're working on literacy, we know we're working on numeracy, and let's think about how would we talk about well-being in that plan, and some ongoing support and follow-up. So they're at the place right now where they're developing plans for next year, and they're just as we are with the student classroom support team, and they're looking forward to rolling those out.
Yeah, so in terms of next step, we're continuing to do the work with the SEST team as we've outlined. Schools as well, we're finishing up with them. There's lots of discussion about what we could do moving forward. That's we just kind of started talking about that. Perhaps you mentioned a new cohort. When we spoke with the group on May 12th, they had some ideas about areas of professional learning that would be helpful to them, further support them in their work in schools. So that's another point to think about. And then of course, while we've got this new legislation rolling out, I think the Workplace Safety and Health Committee will also have to deal with what this is going to look like. They're used to looking at very physical things, right? There's a power cord there, someone's got a toaster oven that they shouldn't have, right? Those kind of things. But how do you walk in and assess psychological safety? That's a whole other level and very nuanced. And so that needs to be taken care of, that's for sure. And then of course, we'll always be in the loop with all the work we're doing. So that's it for us. Do you have any questions? Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Trustees, what questions do you have? Trustee Nordheim.
So down the road, from this group's perspective, you're kind of starting systemic and then going back micro and then coming back out, it feels like. So I think it would be important from a governance perspective to understand what the board can be doing to assist in policy development in terms of support for a wellness culture. So I'm hoping that that can be integrated into your conversations with school leaders as to what they would like to hear from the board.
For sure.
And I think it's important that the board demonstrate through action that that is a really important, exactly what you said at the beginning. If staff are well, it filters down to our kids. And so that's our role. So whatever comes along in terms of academic development, please include board conversation in that in terms of actions that we can take. Please.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Turner?
From your responses from the Guarding Minds, is there any particular school that did not join the 17 that you think should join the 17? Am I making sense? Are you understanding what I mean?
Not with a name necessarily, but
But
just with
the
that, with an
school-
idea,
the
yeah.
school, they should be in with 17 just from the responses you received from the Guarding Minds survey.
There are some schools that have different factors than others. What I would say about that though is that that was 2 years ago and things have changed since then. But like even in our conversations with schools with their current data, when they've looked at them, they said, oh, well, you know, things are different right now. Our school looked different at that time than it does. We had more students, we had fewer students. And so I'm not sure that that data is the best indicator to decide which schools could participate. based on that times have changed. What we have also chosen to do is to work with the willing, that we would, our best impact is kind of grow the good. And so the folks that are the most interested in this are the ones that volunteered for the project. We work with 17 schools, and then we'll see what the interest is to continue.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Trustee Bjornson?
Yes, thanks for the presentation. The data that you're collecting to differentiate between the 30-year veteran who loves what they're doing and the person who's only been there for about 5 years, where we still seem to have the highest rate of turnover for people leaving the profession. Is it differentiate?
Not in terms of the guarding minds.
But that's conversations that we have in the individual schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, about how staff are different and how do we, wellness and well-being looks different in each group. That's true.
Are you seeing any patterns from that feedback from the younger new teachers who are idealized and come in there and wanting to change the world?
I would say one of the patterns that I see is if we're asking about seasoned teachers and new teachers in the profession, is that new teachers in the profession have are expressing a real desire to work with their colleagues in collaborative and meaningful ways. And those that have been in the school for a longer time already have some of those networking pieces. And so being thoughtful around the onboarding in such a way that people can really feel that they're a part of a community and they can learn alongside. That would be one of the things that stands out to me between the younger teachers and experienced ones, that collaboration.
I would add to that our younger teachers are, they're communicators. They want to talk about stuff, and that not everybody's comfortable with that. And so there's an adjustment to that, right? So it's just learning what works for different people.
It's also been a focus I teach at the U of W in the education program. Yeah, communicators is a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Rosa, it's so nice that you use seasoned instead of old.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Very thoughtful.
I dye my
Very
hair now.
thoughtful. Very.
I got it.
Very good.
Any other questions, Trustee Seminyola?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Obviously, this is, we're here because this is an important part of our strategic plan here with strategic 1.2. I guess my question is, I think you had mentioned sometimes that even as we did guiding mind survey from 2 years ago, a lot of things have changed up to now. So with all the work that you're doing now and planned work, what are some of the risks that you've identified in sustaining this work? And what are we doing about that? Because things are changing, right? So what are some of the risks in being able to sustain this work that we're starting now? Just because it's important work, and once you start something and we have a reason why we're starting it, I just want to see what you have thought about the risks or mitigating factors against
I'll take that one.
Do you want to start?
The same risks for the work that we're doing with wellbeing, I think are the same risks that are true for any education initiative that's happened in the last 30 years. It's tied to whether or not we have funding, and it's tied to whether or not we can sustain our commitment long enough, because there's a new challenge that always is coming up behind the door. So it's like, I would think those are the two things. It's like, how do we, and because there's always something new that's pushing forward, we tend to move on before we've really embedded something. So the challenge with system change is to stay with it long enough that it's embedded, as you say, in the policies, in our culture, in our practices, in the ways that we talk to one another, norms, so that it's so deeply entrenched into our work that it can't just easily be pulled out. It would be like what Negon Sinclair calls permanence, right? Moving to that level of having it be how we are, not something that we're doing for the moment.
No, thank you. I think that response fits very well into what Superintendent Mishlik and the team have been talking about, our strategic plan, and saying that we want to move to a point where we can sustain before we stop losing focus. It just becomes part of what we do. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would just add that this work is it's not easy. And sometimes the idea of it sounds really great. And then you start doing it and you're like, whoa, this is really hard. And so whatever we can do to support those times when people feel like they need to step back a little bit, allow them room to kind of breathe with it a bit, because it is really hard to just keep pushing forward. And so any support we can give to help them during the hard times and when they're frustrated, I think is also is a risk because people just want to stop. And that's just human nature with this type of work for sure. Yeah.
We appreciate your work. We appreciate the investment of time in staff wellness and by extension, student wellness. And look forward to hearing from you again. Thank you very much.
You.
Item 6 is staffing to the superintendent on an acting principal position.
On May 11th, Lori Riz, principal at Victor H.L. Wyatt School, started a leave, and as a result, Shelley Hopper was appointed acting principal and will be acting for the duration of Lori's absence.
So the motion then is that Shelley Hopper be appointed acting principal at Victor H.L. Wyatt School effective May 11th, 2026 for the duration of Lori Riz's absence. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Turner, Trustee Kolachuk. All those in favor? There we go. Oh. Any opposed?
Oh, yes, sorry, my screen.
And the motion is carried. Thank you. Trustee Simonyola, yes.
Yes. Oh, now it's up.
Patience is a virtue, Trustee Duncan. Yeah. Senior leadership team information to the board. First one is heating and cooling capital projects report through the superintendent to Director Bandari.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to present a report on the new and replacement heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems that were submitted to the province as part of our 5-year capital plan. Many of our facilities currently lack air conditioning and or operate with aging mechanical systems that limit indoor environmental quality, energy efficiency, and resilience during extreme weather. So the table below in the report shows the air conditioning projects highlighted in yellow. The ones in pink are for the replacement and addition of additional air makeup units for the listed schools. And the ones highlighted in green shows all the boilers that are due for replacement. And the ones in blue are the dust collection systems that needing replacement for the wood shops. So currently, all these schools are operational. There is no concerns with the indoor air quality. Everything is functional, but these are our priority systems due for replacement.
Please, any questions on this? Seeing none, would you like to continue with the public consultation at 3280?
I'm happy to share the update on the public consultation regarding the development of 3280 St. Mary's Road. The rezoning application for this property was submitted in the first week of November and is currently being reviewed by different departments of City of Winnipeg. Public consultation is scheduled on May 27th between 6 to 8 p.m. at St. Vital Mustangs Football Club. During this public consultation, land development plans will be shared with the broader community to collect their feedback prior to Real Community Committee hearing in fall. Following this open house, the senior planner will be preparing a report for the community committee hearing in fall. And that's my update for tonight. Thank you for providing me the opportunity.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions on this item? That will go in calendars should trustees want to attend the consultation. Item 7.3 is the enrollment report, turning to the superintendent for this.
I'm like a broken record. So I bring the enrollment report every few months, but the enrollment is actually updated for everyone every day, every school day. At the end of the day, just a reminder that it looks different now than it did a few years back. And we've updated the public-facing reports. If Vanessa wants to fire up the data hub, doesn't that look fancy? So she can open up the enrollment report. And we've made it more mobile phone friendly, so it's fired up. She clicks the little icon that suggests full screen. Then if you're on your phone, you can pivot your phone to landscape view and see all of it better. And so we see the enrollment as of today, 4:30, is 17,632 students. You can see the breakdown, 33% in French immersion, 67% in English program, and the enrollment trend. So if we open, and that enrollment trend is enrollment data as of September, that in September 30th enrollment data we provide the province. That informs all of the frame reporting in the province. It's just this one-time capture when it comes to provincial data on enrollment. If you click on division enrollment, want to learn more, can. How that enrollment's playing out across schools, across grades. Click on a grade. You can see how that's playing out across schools. Last time I shared this report, we talked about grade 12 enrollment, how high it is. And in part, what explains that, or in large measure, what explains that is that we have students graduating in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. We have students with us until the age of 21. So that higher enrollment in grade 12 is explained by that phenomenon, that it's been a dynamic in schools forever. And we can see that 14.6% of our students self-declare as Indigenous. See that 55.9% of students. Then if you click on that, you can see where they are across the schools. And if you unclick, you can look at the Indigenous, Black, persons of color identity, those students who identify as BIPOC. By clicking on that slice. We have 55.9% of our students that identify as BIPOC. The languages students speak, their first language, we have percent that speak a language other than English. And I'll let you explore on your own the rest of it. That's my report.
Any questions on this information? As was stated, it's available to us anytime. Next item is 7.4 LRTA. And I am pleased to announce that the Lucasville Teachers Association has elected Jay McGurn once again as president and Aaron Lose as vice president of professional development for 2026-2027. So I guess you'll be joining us for another year, every second Tuesday, whether you
go.
Yeah, all right. Well, congratulations. Item 8 is policy. First is ratification of some amendments and superintendent to assistant superintendent hours.
Very good, thank you. At the May 5th meeting, the board received a presentation from the division's data governance charter. And with the goal of ensuring alignment with the charter, 4 policies are being presented for revision this evening. Policy ILC, ACBB, collection and data, has been updated to require the creation of a data governance charter that articulates the division's data management plan and sets out the roles, responsibilities, and structures that support effective and ethical data use throughout the division. The policy references legislation and other policy documents to guide the charter's creation and implementation. Of note is the division's commitment to Indigenous data sovereignty. Procedures related to preventing and responding to data privacy breaches have been added to policy JRA, pupil files and records, and policy GBL, management of employee files. The procedures ensure that existing practice, which follows guidance from the Office of the Manitoba Ombudsman, is embedded in policy. In addition, various edits were made to policy JRA, student records, to improve clarity and alignment with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. As well, legal references were moved to the end of the policy, and a procedure has been added permitting appendment to the file of a parent guardian's written objection to or explanation or interpretation of any matter contained in the pupil file. And lastly, policy IJNDC, Internet and Information Systems Use, staff and students, was updated to reflect current practice and to include references to the Data Governance Charter, the Artificial Intelligence Guidelines, the Supporting Student Behavior Policy, and progressive discipline policy for staff.
Thank you. So the motion is that the following policies be amended. Policy GBL, Management of Employee Files. Policy IJNDC, Internet and Information Systems Use, Staff and Students. Policy ILC KCBB, Collection of Use of Data. And policy JRA, Pupil Files, Student Records and Supporting Protocol. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Semenyola, Trustee Nordheim. Any questions on any of these? Trustee Palmquist.
Thank you. I wanted to ask if there's any chance that any of these policies are going to be impacted by or publicly mused about changes from the province of Manitoba concerning ranging from artificial intelligence to social media to internet use. There's been a few announcements and a few kind of public statements that have alluded to possible future policies.
Yes, it's quite possible. We're continually updating our policies to ensure alignment with provincial direction. We're currently waiting on finalization of Bill 38 we're anticipating making some additional changes June or more likely this fall to passage of that. Absolutely, depending on what legislation is passed, we'll have some updates to do.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Trustee Kolachuk?
Yeah.
And the motion is carried. Thank you.
Slow on.
Still with the superintendent, Assistant Superintendent Anderson, a policy for second reading.
Yes, this is policy IKEAA, academic honesty. And I'm going to present to you a summary of feedback received. And I'll begin with a bit of background. So the need for policy in this area emerged as the Data Governance Executive Committee was doing its work on artificial intelligence. The draft policy aligns provincial direction on assessment, evaluation, and reporting with its Indigenous education policy framework, Mama to Wissowin, the wonder we're born with. And this links directly to our multi-year strategic plan actions 3.1 and 3.3. Trustees gave reading to the first version of this policy at the April 21st meeting. And since then, there has been an opportunity for much consultation. Principals and vice principals provided feedback at the April leadership team meeting. Input was requested from staff at the April staff meeting, and feedback was received from other members. Feedback was reviewed by a subcommittee of senior leadership team members, Kelsey Lenehan, Clark Hagan, Nicholas Kelly, Nicole Megan Van Koenig, Marnie Wilson, and assistant superintendents. And all of this feedback has been collated into the version that is before you for consideration this evening for second reading. We gathered feedback through a form survey. In total, 222 responses were received. The vast majority are from LRSD staff members. That was our target audience for this consultation. 190 responses, 30 from LRSD staff members who are also parents, guardians, or caregivers, and 2 from parents / guardians / caregivers that found out about the survey in one way or another. We're planning a more directed community consultation following second reading. Just give you that heads up here. And what did they say? This group of 222, 71% felt that the policy was clear and relevant and that no changes were required. 29% felt that some changes were warranted, including consistent use of strengths-based language. Some of the themes elucidated by the feedback, that greater training is needed to help staff understand policy JK, supporting student behavior, and its recently updated support guide, supporting student behavior using a student-centered and strength-based approach, as well as to improve staff understanding of the provincial Indigenous education framework. Other themes that emerged were there is a need to increase staff awareness of the artificial intelligence guidelines that were presented at the last board meeting. That's hot off the press, so word is still getting out. And to the point that Trustee Palmquist raised with respect to the last group of policies that came for your consideration, many staff mistakenly believe that the proposal to ban Manitoba children from using artificial intelligence is already in place. And finally, some staff expressed concern regarding the environmental and societal impacts of artificial intelligence. And a meeting is planned later this month with a group of interested teachers. So next steps for this policy are consultation with students and community members, preparation of the policy for third reading, and ongoing staff training as policy implementation occurs over the course of the school year.
Thank you very much. So the motion then is that policy IKEAA, academic honesty, reviewed by the Policy Review Committee, receive second reading and be further reviewed in committee and brought back for third reading at a future date. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Trustee Kolachek, second by Trustee Palmquist. Questions on the motion? Trustee Palmquist.
I don't have a question. I want to thank you, Jeff, and all everyone involved for their work in board. I felt I should just make a quick comment. I particularly appreciate your remark about the staff who brought forward their concerns about the environmental ethical impacts of AI, and I think that as especially in the context of academic honesty, lapses in academic honesty is the positive framing of a language is put there. We're living in the golden age of plagiarism. And I think that one of the things that we have to always bear in mind as we move forward, we can't stand in the way of technological innovation and have to adapt with it, but bearing in mind risk, and not just risk to action, but risk to reputation and risk to ethics, is that we want to, of course, discourage and give people alternatives to finding loopholes and cheats and plagiarism of content, but we should bear in mind the entire structure of how AI has been built up till today, the way large language models have scraped vast amounts of internet data and the way that they're trained, including, no doubt, to a certain extent, so much of the data that's in the model that we're using. And I think that it's important that we have to always bear in mind that there is both a micro and a macro risk to us. when it comes to plagiarism and honesty. And I hope that we continue to move forward on our journey with AI in a spirit of caution and prudence.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 8.3, so Assistant Superintendent Anderson, notice of motion regarding a policy IJOC.
Yes, so when we're bringing a policy forward for smaller amendments like we did this evening, package of 4, we normally will bring them forward and at a meeting, present them and have them considered for adoption at the same meeting. In this particular instance, with respect to policy IJOC, which is our policy that relates to school volunteers, we're bringing forward this evening as a notice of motion. And essentially what this is intended to do is to get this rough draft of changes that we're proposing to the policy out in the public. So following the board meeting tomorrow, we will be sharing the draft changes and seeking feedback, very much like we do when we're developing a policy. And this will allow for staff at the May staff meeting to consider the policy, provide feedback. It will allow for community members, parent advisory councils, and so on to also provide feedback on the policy. The proposed revisions modernize our approach to volunteer management by strengthening student safety provisions, clarifying expectations, improving accountability, and aligning volunteer practices with divisional values and policy. The result is a more robust, transparent, and consistent framework. The previous policy, IJOC, that related to school volunteers was really limited to just criminal record check and child abuse registry checks. So this is looking much more broadly at school volunteers. And the reason this is coming forward at this time is because it really is in lockstep with the policy that has been going through the 3 reading process on staff interactions with students, policy GBEBB. And in that policy, we have some very clear expectations at how staff are to interact with students. And the direction from the province is that all of the expectations that we have of staff in terms of treating students fairly and creating safe environments for students, we also need to have our volunteers who work with them in various capacities. So this policy will be widely communicated through the website and email, and our principals and vice principals will have an opportunity to provide feedback at the leadership team on Monday in advance of taking it to their staff for the May staff meeting.
Okay. So then, as a notice of motion, we're in this particular, there is no vote, therefore no mover or seconder until it comes back to us on June 2nd, is that correct?
Yeah, this is really
just a heads up.
It is a heads up, but formally by our process in the procedural bylaws, we should call for a mover and a seconder.
Okay, so again, then on June 2nd, the notice of motion, the policy that will come forward is there, and it reads that the board amend policy IJOC criminal record check and child abuse registry check along with supporting administrative protocol. So a mover and a seconder, please. Trustee Bjornson, second. Trustee Kolachek, and this will come back
At the earliest.
the June 2nd meeting.
And I don't want to presuppose what the feedback will look like and the length of time that it will take for us to compile it all. So it may not be possible for that to be ready for June 2nd. It may be at the second meeting in June. Okay. But we're aiming for this June.
Okay. Trustee Nordholm?
Can I just ask how the information about how to use social media is melded with this policy and how that's going to be communicated to volunteers? So you understand what I'm saying, like that they don't text or, you know, that kind of stuff?
So,
and how do we make sure that they understand what the rules are?
There's going to be a lot of training required, and this will be work for the principal and other staff members who support volunteers in our schools. And part of it is going to involve these volunteers receiving network accounts for the Real School Division. So we will be asking volunteers, rather than using an application like TeamSnap to communicate out detailed practices and so on, that instead we would use Microsoft Teams. Okay. And we're working closely with Parks Department on that to have materials to assist them in learning how to do that. And our clerical staff will be involved in creating the teams as well. And this will help to ensure that communication is on a trackable form. It's not on a personal cell phone. It's on a Microsoft Teams account that can be monitored. Similarly, we would be asking our volunteers to communicate via divisional email accounts as opposed to a personal email for the same reasons.
Perfect. And is there any consideration for kind of a divisional volunteer handbook with some of the basic information? That there may be additional stuff per school, but a divisional one that would be online? Okay, thank you.
So that takes us then to correspondence. You will see that we have received some. I'm going to draw your attention specifically to that from MSBA, which is the executive highlights from the April board meeting, and also already call for nominations and resolutions for AGM next March. We have
Hoping to get to the end of June.
Okay, so we have some action items. First one is a motion to revise policy BC Board Code of Conduct. This came to us as a notice of motion from Trustee Bjornson, seconded by, sorry, Trustee Turner, was it? 10.1?
That would be me.
By Trustee Sigurd. Oh, sorry.
No,
I apologize. No, 10.1 is the one that we are deferring. I apologize. Yeah, okay. 10.2. Motion to revise the.
If I may, sorry.
Sure.
Is it simply being, it doesn't need to be reintroduced, just defer to next meeting for some wordsmithing?
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
So item 10.2, motion to revise the procedural bylaws. This came to us from Trustee Bjornson and it was seconded by Trustee Turner, correct? Okay. And the motion reads as follows. Whereas the Public Schools Act states that every school board shall hold its meetings openly, quoting subsection 33, and whereas the Public Schools Act allows for committee meetings to be held in camera, subsection 34, and whereas it has been the practice of LRSD to hold in-camera committee of the whole meetings prior to regular public meetings and at other times, therefore be it resolved that section B8 of the procedural bylaws of the Real School Division be amended as shown below, such that beginning in September 2026, meeting of the committee of the whole shall include both an open camera portion and an open portion. Sorry, both an in-camera portion and an open portion, and 2, a report summarizing the proceedings that are not held in camera and recording the names of trustees in attendance shall be presented at a subsequent regular or special meeting. Discussion on this motion. Trustee Kolachek?
When we have meetings of committee of the whole, they're on other days other than our standard board meetings. And they're meant to do in-camera work for the committee or committee work. We already have lots of meetings already, much more than many other school boards. So to have both an in-camera portion of the committee of the whole and an open portion means that this is my understanding, and maybe I'm understanding it incorrectly, is that we would actually have a public portion of our committee of the whole meeting when we had one, which sometimes is 2 additional Tuesdays a month.
Trustee Bjornson, would you like to respond to that?
No, the intent is when we have committee of the whole meeting, a lot of really healthy discussions and debates on things that aren't necessarily required to be in camera. And we don't have a mechanism to report back to the public what we discussed in those meetings because they're held in camera despite not meeting the criteria that would necessitate being them held in camera. So what I'm saying is that the agenda for the committee of the whole meetings, it would just be that so much would be held in camera and the other portion would not be held in camera. Doesn't mean public, just an open meeting where we would have business that would be discussed. The substance of that discussion would be reported back. So the public knows that when we are having these meetings, there are issues that we discuss that are in the public interest to hear what items are covered that were not part of an in-camera meeting. We can have a committee of the whole. We have a lot of those meetings, and as I said, there's been good discussion and debate on items that aren't consistent with regulations on in-camera criteria.
Trustee Simonilla? Oh, sorry, follow-up question, Trustee Kolachek?
So who will be responsible for bringing that information to the next public board meeting?
Well, I had originally put in there that it would be the board chair or designate would report back at the next meeting. I guess that's something that can be determined. If trustees take turns reporting back or submitting the report, that's something that we can determine. But the point being that we have healthy discussions and debates on items that public needs to be aware we are talking about that we often talk about at these committee of the whole meetings.
Trustee Simonilla, sorry, and then Trustee Palmquist.
I guess for me, it's if there are examples of discussions that are being had at committee as a whole that shouldn't be, should be public facing, why can't we just put those in the public meeting so we could discuss them in public? And that's just my question.
Okay. Trustee Palmquist.
I agree partly with Trustee Simonilla. I think that we should be using our public meeting more often as a tool for debating issues, even controversial ones. That said, in this motion, I do like the idea of us having even if it's free of detail, a short summary or report concerning the discussion topics that are or business conducted at our committee of the whole meetings. I also even think it would be of value, even if it were to remain in camera, for us to have, and this is a position I've had for a while, that we have dispositions that come out, written dispositions, even if they're only for our internal review, that come out of both either committee of the whole or in-camera meetings, but that's not what this motion suggests. I think the idea of a summary of what business we did, even if it's by topic, even if it's something as simple as human resources matter or school infrastructure matter. But I would not, I cannot support the notion of having a public committee of the whole meeting, though. I don't think that, I agree with Trustee Simonilla that we have anything that's worthy of business, that's worthy of being discussed in public at committee of the whole, that should be an item on the agenda of our regular board meeting. I would be open-minded to an amendment to this motion that I would consider support. I could not vote yes as currently written.
Mr. Bjornson?
Well, just to clarify, sometimes when you have a committee of the whole meeting where something would arise day of, that is something that we need to discuss. That doesn't fall under that criteria of an in-camera item that we discuss at that meeting. I think it's important for, like, the intent is to look at things that we discuss at these meetings which don't meet the criteria. And we have discussed a few items that the public should be aware that we are discussing at these committee of the whole meetings. That's all I'm asking us to consider, is being transparent and tell the public what it was that we discussed. So clearly, if there's if it's a time sensitive matter, something that occurred the day of or the day before that we needed to have a conversation about, I think the public needs to know that we had that conversation, and it would be reported back and part of perhaps a bigger discussion to be held at a regular meeting.
Okay, I have trustee Semenyola, trustee Kolachek, and then trustee Sigurdson.
Yeah, my position is that I would rather we have a designate at that meeting that can take note of the fact that something should be in public and shouldn't be discussed in an in-camera. And then if we recognize that that's a case, maybe we pause on that discussion and have that as a topic for the public. I think, we discuss a lot of HR related items in those meetings, and being able to differentiate if somebody wanted to know what else, to differentiate what was in camera that protects the confidentiality of staff, students, or something sensitive versus what wasn't. I'm just very uncomfortable with how that's worded with my judicial responsibility on this board that I carry. With that, I would not be supporting 10.2 today.
Okay, trustee Kolachek?
I would say that if we are discussing things in committee of the whole that should be brought to the public, they should already be in the public meeting. And to me, it's the responsibility of the chair to make that happen. So I will also be voting against this motion today.
Sigurdson?
I'm very much in favor of the idea of having reporting back about what has been discussed. I think that's crucial. It's openness and transparency. It should be brought to the next meeting. I'm a little confused, however, of the concept of the committee of the whole meetings being both in camera and in public. Because if there's a public portion, that the way it's worded, that brings some difficulty, because for a public portion of the meeting, you need to have infrastructure of a public meeting, you need to have people invited in. I understood this to be simply that once we've had our in-camera meeting, then we report back for transparency about what was discussed at the next meeting in public. So can you explain how?
Well, yeah, speaking to the intent of the motion.
I should say I'm very much in favor of the intent of the motion.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that this is clear.
I mean, we define our meetings by in-camera and committee of the whole, but by defining it as public, perhaps it should be defined as items not in camera, which is different, right? Not saying that it has to be a public meeting with public infrastructure. There are items that are not consistent with in-camera regulations that we discuss at the meeting. It would be discussed when we're out of camera, and that would be reported back to the community. That's the intent.
Trustee Turner and trustee Nordheim haven't had an opportunity to weigh in. Is there anything you want to say?
I seconded the motion. I feel that it's important that we have a little bit more transparency when it comes to our in-camera attendance.
Okay.
Even if it's just a blurb that, discussion regarding staffing,
Thank you.
So I have two concerns. One is in regards to the HIPAA regulations, that if it's in writing, even as a point, then people can say, can you disclose more detail about that? I don't know if that's a concern, but that certainly would be something that I would want to know. And then the second thing is, was it your intent, like, with respect to my colleagues, sometimes we tend to go off topic and, you know, the discussion becomes bigger and more maybe less focused. Was it your intent to decide after the conversation that this should be reported to the public, that we talked about this? Or is it the agenda set ahead of time? That's
Well,
kind of,
I guess if we, in setting the agenda, if there are items specific to committee of the whole that would be in camera, if there's items that we would like to see discussed and have a report back that wouldn't qualify for being in camera, then we could have that added to the agenda. And like I say, it could be a timely response to a matter. It could be something in the news that we need to respond to. But I think it's important that the public knows that we're having these conversations. Like we could, when we have the committee of the whole meeting, we have the agenda. If there are items that would trustees perhaps would like to add to the agenda that wouldn't meet that criteria, or something that should require a response, I think, like I say, I think the public needs to know what these meetings are about, and within the parameters of the FIPA regulations. And I often hear, well, you guys have all these other meetings. What are you talking about? Well, we can't talk about it because it's in camera. And I think it's an opportunity to have another forum where we as trustees are speaking to the concerns that are raised by people who elect us, to know that we're having these conversations.
Are there any other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Yeah.
We have a mover and a seconder. It was notice of motion brought by trustee Bjornson and seconded by trustee Turner. You're welcome. Sorry, let's try that again. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And the motion is defeated. Thank you. What I will offer in terms of this is appreciation for the conversation around the table that is related to ensuring that information that we feel our public needs to be made aware of is brought forward. The items that are discussed in camera are very clearly defined both within the Public Schools Act and within our own policy. So anybody who is wondering what we're talking about, that is, you know, that can be reflected upon. I can commit, and along with trustee Nordheim, to set agendas with all of this in mind. And
It's gonna be 4-4.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I haven't,
just a second, I'm sorry.
it bounced me out before I could vote, so I don't know.
Is it a tie vote?
Yeah, so you have to vote.
So you'd like
first
to
of all.
Oh, if what, did Ian vote?
Motion, so let's see, yes, I'm.
Okay, so hang on just a second.
I'm voting in favor, but it
No problem, we can record that on your behalf.
So it's 4-4.
So then it's defeated.
Don't you have to?
You have a vote.
No,
You have to
a tie vote is
No, a tie vote means sorry, the event of a tie vote, the chair casts a tie vote.
I believe that in Robert's Rules of Order, which we follow, a tie vote, Assistant Superintendent Anderson is defeat, is it
It
not?
has to be a majority, is my understanding, and a tie is not a majority.
I could be wrong.
Under Robert's Rules of Order, a tie vote means the motion is failed.
Yeah, that's under Robert's Rules of Order.
We have something different though.
That's what I'm trying to look up. I can't get I'm trying to get the procedure. Anybody got their procedural bylaws open? My phone. Oh, got it?
It's in section E.
Section, okay, that's C. Section
So
C.
E states, A simple majority shall decide all questions except as otherwise provided in these bylaws or in the PSA.
Yeah.
Questions on which the equality of votes shall be deemed as defeated. The results of all votes shall be announced by the chair and recorded in the minutes.
Yeah. So am I correct in announcing it's defeated?
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you. So then in order to finish the, what I was gonna say was, I would encourage trustees when you get your agendas, if there is something that you are wondering about in terms of why it is in the in-camera portion and not the regular portion, please email myself or the vice chair and just pose the question. Things do get biased and sometimes another set of eyes provides some clarity that is important. Item 10.3, religious instruction. A group at Colvan Bellingham has come forward with the proper documents by way of a signed petition to request religious instruction at their school for the balance of this year. And so we have a recommendation in front of us that bylaw 2025-2026-004 being a bylaw to authorize the instruction of religion at a Colvan Bellingham during the 2025-26 school year receive first, second, and third approved. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Kolachek, trustee Semenyola, any questions? Actually, there wouldn't be questions because, sorry, well, so this is probably the first one that you've encountered. So the process that we follow, given that this is a requirement of us to grant this, is that we do first, second, and third reading all at once and we pass it.
Okay. Can I still just ask a question?
Of course, yes.
How many schools currently have religious instruction?
Oh, good question. Off the top of my head, does anybody know?
I'm saying
I
5.
believe this is the first for this school year.
The first one?
This year.
And can I also ask what are provisions that ensure that they're compliant with the regulations? Do they meet with the person, or does somebody meet with the person to explain the rules and regulations? I remember a case famously a few years back with people breaking the rules, proselytizing, encouraging kids to come to the prayer with candy and things like that, which of course is a gross violation of the rules. So how do we ensure that the rules are clearly stated to those who will be giving the religious instruction?
I will look to the superintendent to answer that, or to Assistant Superintendent Anderson. Go ahead.
With respect to the petitions that come forward, Deneen goes through the petitions thoroughly to ensure that they are for students who are currently registered in the school and that they're completed. This is a big job because often the forms that come in are out of date or incomplete or for students who are no longer registered at the school. So that is one level. In terms of helping principals to understand what it means to have, I believe, with religious instruction operating in the school, that's a conversation that I have with principals so that they understand what the limits around exactly the example that you were sharing, what is permitted and what is not. Religious instruction is permitted, evangelization is not.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I know that we do the job. I was just wanting to make sure that the people that are there breaking the rules, not our staff, not our admin, but I had a number of cases cross my desk years ago with people who were overstepping the regulations, and just wanted to make sure that they were clearly aware of what those regulations would be.
And we misspoke, there is one in place already. Yeah, so this is the second group.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the questions. That takes us to item 10.4, appointment of superintendent and CEO of Louis Riel School Division. So with the announcement earlier this year of Superintendent Mishlik's intention to retire, the board started a journey to choose and hire the next superintendent and CEO of LRSD this morning, this afternoon, this evening. We are pleased to share with those that are online tonight that we will be appointing Jackie Connell to that role. Jackie is currently the Assistant Deputy Minister for Education, Indigenous Excellence in the Department of Education, previously Assistant Superintendent in Frontier School Division, in addition to other leadership roles. We will be sharing this evening a communication with staff and with parents, sharing a little bit more about Jackie's background. There will be a spotlight story and a press release sent tomorrow. So for now, the motion is that the board appoint Jackie Connell as Superintendent and CEO of the Louisville School Division, effective August 4th, 2026. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Trustee Semenyola, Trustee Sigurdsson. Any questions on the motion? Trustee Kolachuk.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate the work that the chair and vice chair and board have put into the process. However, it was a very quick process with a very short turnaround time on the decision for a leader that is 33% based on French immersion single track. I wasn't able to participate in the interviews and conversation with the candidates due to the short notice of the meetings due to work and family commitments. And I was originally going to abstain from the vote, but after seeing what I feel is a lack of thorough conversation and commitment to hiring a French-speaking candidate for the largest French community in Western Canada, I will be voting against the motion. So check me off, but I'd appreciate you marking me as a no. And while I appreciate the experience that Jackie brings, she is missing what I feel and what many of the French community feels is the most important skill for LRSD, and that's being able to speak French and communicate with a third of the staff and students in their language. The division has prioritized single track French immersion, and I believe that Christian and his team has done an amazing job, and we have done an amazing job as a division even before this, and we have a very successful and highly regarded program across the province. Parents have trust and confidence in the French immersion program, and that the leadership team is committed to ensuring French language and culture is the thread through everything we do as a division, and it isn't forgotten as we develop strategy mostly in English. We see that in board meetings where we speak French very limited. And when I provided the land acknowledgement in French a few weeks ago, it was the first time that it was ever done, and most of the people in this room did not understand what I was saying. I think having someone lead a division that is 33% primarily French, which we saw on, year and year again, without having any experience in the culture and language, is not the right direction for LRSD and our team. And I appreciate that the board has made this decision, but I will be voting against it.
Okay, any other comments? Sigurdsson.
Well, again, I thank the chair and vice chair. I thank all of us, everyone who participated in this process, applied, interviewed. It wasn't a rush process in any way. It was a process that took our time, and we certainly made deliberate decisions. We had a number of discussions as a group and with the individuals. I'm quite proud of that. I am a parent of French immersion system. Both of my kids went through there, and they're currently employed in French-speaking environments. And I have absolute zero doubt or issue or problem that this board and this division doesn't support fully French immersion in every way, as we always have. I have no doubt that this new hire will be an excellent hire and will provide us that leadership in both the French and the English side. I'll be voting in favor. I look forward to the future of LRSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Semenyola.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Jackie on this appointment. Again, I think the work that LRSD has done here under the leadership of our current superintendent. Will be not lost on this leadership throughout the process. So multiple discussion we've had about this hire has grown more and more confidence that this is the direction that Lower Royal School Division needs, and I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, everyone in favor? Those opposed? The motion is carried.
Yes, I'm voting yes, and for some reason it's not voting. Thank you.
I, on behalf of the board, extend warm congratulations and a warm welcome to Jackie. When she joins us in August, she'll have to hit the ground running. There's lots going on. There's lots of great work that she will learn about and be a part of. And we will welcome her and support her in this transition, as we will support divisional staff in this transition as well. So I thank everybody for their comments and their engagement on this item. Item 11, public question period to close things out. Opportunity for our verified virtual participants and those in the room to ask questions. I'm going to start with folks online. If there's any questions for the board this evening. Seeing none, any questions in the room? Questions of clarification on agenda items?
Yeah, just on the air conditioning, if I may.
Sure.
I'm just curious, how many schools do we still have outstanding, incomplete? And what would be the estimated capital ask roughly to get it all done? Like, how many millions are we talking about to get air conditioning? We talk about modernizing our schools, but I'm just simply advocating for, let's start with just comfortable. And I just think it's such an important piece in our classroom.
Do we have a price attached to that?
No, I don't. But you know, no, because it's ever changing, right? But I can dig in. I don't want to just offer a number without doing a little research. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Anything else? That was it?
I would make an observation, but it's probably not appropriate, so I will.
Well, and this is question time, so.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. I do need about 10 minutes with the board, please. We are at the end of the agenda. We are adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.